Today, we're diving into how one band took rock and roll and turned it into something that felt more like a high-fashion art installation. This is the story of Roxy Music and their incredible art rock Glamour.
Well, you get Roxy Music. A band that didn't just play songs, right? They created entire aesthetic worlds. They were like a living, breathing art piece that looked and sounded like it had just dropped in from some other, far more glamorous planet. To really get their impact, you gotta picture this. It's 1972. You turn on your TV to watch Britain's The Old Grey Whistle Test, and what you see is just unlike anything else on the air. This completely bizarre, totally captivating spectacle. It was no accident.
Nope, this was a meticulously crafted vision. A whole aesthetic universe orchestrated by the band's frontman and chief architect, Bryan Ferry. He just knew from the very beginning that the image was every bit as important as the sound.
I mean, their whole mission was clear from day one. Just look at the cover of their debut album. That wasn't just packaging, it was a statement. This sultry, high-fashion look was basically an explicit taunt to the whole denim and t-shirt rock scene of the time. They even matched the logo's colors to the model's makeup. Every single detail was controlled. Ferry's vision completely redefined what a band could even be. See, he didn't want a traditional group of friends. Instead, he put together what he called a repertory company, basically a hand-picked team of unique specialists.
And Ferry himself said it. He saw the band not as a gang, but as a collective of musical actors. And this approach let him combine all these seemingly mismatched parts to create something totally new. It fostered a dynamic where, as he put it, speech becomes unnecessary.
So first, you had Andy McKay. Now, in a world of screaming guitar solos, he brought the strange, atmospheric hum of an oboe and a saxophone, instruments you just did not hear in mainstream rock. It immediately set them worlds apart.
Then there's Phil Manzanera. His guitar work wasn't about brute force. The critics actually called it a weeping guitar style. It was just so full of emotion and texture, and it gave their songs this unique, almost haunting quality.
And of course, there was Brian Eno. He wasn't even a traditional musician in the band. He was the synth wizard, the sound manipulator. His electronic squelches and futuristic vibe made Roxy Music sound like they'd literally fallen through a time warp.
So what you've got is this wild alchemy of art school theory, high fashion, strange instruments, and electronic soundscapes. It was this exact mix that fundamentally changed what a rock band could be. If you think this kind of musical innovation is as fascinating as we do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and tell us your favorite Roxy Music memory in the comments.
But just like their image was perfectly crafted, their sound didn't just stand still. It went through this dramatic evolution, moving from a kind of avant-garde chaos to a whole new level of sophisticated cool. And you can really hear this shift right here. Their early work had this chaotic, high-octane drive to it. But as they went on, the music got way more polished, more self-assured. They learned that less could be more, you know? They didn't need to clutter up the songs to make a huge impact.
And Ferry himself explained that this was a totally conscious choice. After he recorded his first solo album, he got this new confidence in the studio. He realized he could just do something simple and let the songs breathe instead of trying to overwhelm them with noise.
So, what's the big takeaway here? What was the ultimate impact of Bryan Ferry's grand experiment with Roxy Music? To put it simply, they created the blueprint for modern art rock. They proved that a band could be this immersive, 360-degree experience, blending fashion, visual art, and sound into one seamless, forward-thinking package.
And their legacy is just immense. They merged high art with pop music. They completely redefined rock and roll performance. They influenced entire genres from punk to new wave. And for so many bands that came after them, style and glamour weren't just optional anymore. They were essential. Which leaves us with this one last fascinating question. When you think of all those stylish, synth-driven bands of the 80s, you really have to wonder, would any of it have even existed without the glittering, revolutionary vision of Roxy Music? Something to think about.